Hello, Emily. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm so excited to have this chat with you today. We're talking about energy and awareness. And I wrote a bit of a quick post last night thinking about why we were doing this and why I wanted to talk to you about it. And I guess your experience as an energy worker and an energy healer is just so interesting to me, your perspective of it. So for a lot of people in the group might have already met you or seen some of the things we've done together. But for those who haven't before, would you just introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of a quick catch up on how you got to be doing what you do at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me in to chat about things. It's super exciting. I'm pretty passionate about energy stuff, so you'll have to cut me off if I go on and on. Yeah, so I am originally from the UK, and my background really is as an academic. So I'm actually a qualified lecturer in the kind of biology field and animal science field, like working in kind of veterinary science and behaviour. So for me, as I grew up, I had quite a religious upbringing, and I always felt a little bit disjointed with that concept. I loved the community of being in a church, but I didn't quite understand who this God figure was that sits on a cloud and directs everything in life. And I always had so many questions. But I was very fortunate because my mum's side of the family were a lot more spiritual, I guess. And I had this opportunity to learn a little bit about energy as I was growing up. And to start with, like a lot of people, I was just like, oh, this is nonsense. You know, you can't see it. It's not there. Like, you know, mum would talk about things and I'd just be like, oh, mum, shut up. You know, like seriously, just what are you talking about? Because I have this need to understand and a need to learn, I started reading and I started doing a lot of my own kind of research into what energy actually is and how it can be scientifically explained. And so I guess over the years, as I've kind of built and understood more, and if people who have worked with me or know me know that I'm very grounded, I'm very kind of like, well, if you want the information, it's there to find. And yeah, really, my work kind of as a teacher ended up moving into the healing field. So I taught an animal healing course in the UK. And then when we moved to Australia, so my husband's Australian, which is how we've ended up back here, I decided that I wanted to open more courses and start helping families and actually teaching energy work within families and supporting, I guess, the expansion of people's awareness. That's kind of really, I guess, where my work goes. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So for people who are in the space you were all those years ago when your mum was talking nonsense to you, how do you describe energy to them? What's the simplest way that you can help them to understand what we're talking about here?
So I guess the fundamental thing to know and to understand is that everything is made of energy. So whether you can see it or not, the bottom line is scientifically, it is proven that every single thing is made up of particles, which we know if we think back to our, science lessons at school where we learned about the periodic table and we learned about atoms and we learned that we have all these spinning electrons. And now there's a new field of science, quantum physics, which actually breaks everything down even further. So all of this stuff is now a proven science. It's not stuff that we're just making up as these airy-fairy spiritualists, which is really lovely, actually, that as being in this field, there is so much evidence now, which is phenomenal. So really, I talk to people about these building blocks and we look at the world around us and we go, okay, so if we're all energy, why is that table dense and hard? And why am I not? Or why is air, floaty? And really, it's all about the fact that every particle has a different vibration. So every bit of energy is vibrating at a different rate. And the wood or the table is very dense, the vibration is quite low, and the same with the air being a lot lighter. And, even the periodic table classifies everything by how many electrons it has in its outer ring and things like this. So essentially, everything in our world is a vibration. And I know that for some people that's really hard to get your head around because we just don't learn this from a young age. But if you think about some of the other technologies that we do use, like Wi-Fi or radio, you can't see them. And yet we use them all the time. So there are so many things that you rely on that you can't see. And yet because they work in your life, you use them and you don't question it. You don't ask, well, hang on, how does that, how are we even live now? How are we even talking to each other? Nobody cares. The fact is it's working. So we have to start applying that principle to our lives as people. We are energetic beings, whether you like it or not, that is fact. And every bit of your body is communicating through electronic signals, even down to your nerves and your gut and your heart rhythms and your brain waves. All of this is measurable. We know that if we go to hospital. If you need an ECG for your heart, they're measuring, energy that's coming from your heart, your, bioelectric energy or biomagnetic energy. So the more you delve into it, the more you look into it, you'll find that there is real substantiated science underneath the concept of energy and how it works. So yeah, it's definitely a world in its own.
That's where the awareness part comes into it, because as you are more and more aware, then you do get to feel more and more that it is working. And then it does become just like flicking the radio on and not even giving it another thought once you are experiencing the way it works every day.
I think I guess like sometimes people ask that question as a healer, how do you know what's going on in my body, or how can you pick up that information? And I guess it's exactly as you described it. If you think about a radio and tuning in to a channel or a frequency, you're not listening to every radio station at the same time. You're very carefully selecting and tuning a device to listen to a particular frequency, and messages and information is transmitted through that particular frequency. So when you're working with energy as a practitioner, that's essentially what you're doing, is you're learning to be that tuner, and you're learning how you can actually pick up this information in the body. But it doesn't, you don't have to be special to do this. I'm not gifted because this is my job. We are all able to do this because actually it's our natural state. So, I mean, a really great example of that is if you think of animals in the wild, so particularly prey animals. If you think about how quickly a prey animal can detect a predator coming into their energetic field, it can be miles off, but they felt it. They felt the animal. They can't see it. They might be able to smell it.
Predators being as quiet as they can and as hidden as they can, aren't they?
Yeah.
Trying to take care of those other senses, but they still sense it.
Yeah, and the energy, it's all about. And as a person, you would have felt this. If you've ever walked into a room where someone's had an argument and people say, oh, you can cut the tension
with a knife.
I'm like,
it's dense.
Yeah, and you can feel it. It's the friction in the room, the energy of it. Or if you meet someone and you're like, instantly just get on so well, like you just feel like you've known them forever, because your energy fields are resonating at a similar vibration. So it feels really comfortable. Or the opposite, where you meet someone and you're like, okay, chalk and cheese, just not going to happen. Like you can feel it. And again, you're feeling the energy of the person's aura, that we call it, like the energy field around your body. But they're natural. That is completely natural. And I guess one of the things I find frustrating, if you like, about our typical kind of way of understanding the world is that we are taught that we only have 5 senses. And I'm like, no, we don't have 5 senses. We have 6, because your 6th sense is your gut reaction. It's when you feel in your gut that something isn't right, or you pick up on, the energy or the feeling about somebody, and you're like, oh, I just not sure about that. It doesn't feel good to me. Yeah. That is another sense, and it's completely real. It's discounted, but it's not. Like, that is as natural as the other 5. We've just conditioned ourselves to believe that if we can't see it and it's not tangible, it doesn't exist. And I guess
there's a few challenges that are coming from that.
There are.
And looking at the world, hey?
It really is. It's very limited, but it's also what we're starting to see right now is how this is changing. People are starting to go, oh, okay, there is more to the world than just this reality that we're living in. But it's
shaking everything, isn't it?
It really is. And I guess for me, and this is with my own children, one of the things that is so important to me is that my kids understand this from the beginning. So for us as a family unit, talking about energy, talking about our feelings and how those change the energy field, talking about our experiences with gratitude and how that can improve your life and how that can change the energy of what's around you and how that actually manifests physical things in your life. That is all normal.
We're actually in control of that.
Completely. And it's your power.
Yeah.
It takes away your power if you think that the world is limited to the 5 tangible senses. That's it. You can't manifest.
It's just all happening around you, out of your control. I guess that goes hand in hand, doesn't it? One of the other things I wanted to ask you, when you're working with people and their energy, how do you protect your energy in a sense? Because I found personally being aware of energy has been the biggest thing, but then you've got to slowly figure out what to do with it as well and how to manage it. And for me, being quite open to and sensitive to the energy around me, that's been a big learning curve for me as well. What do I do with that energy that I come up against that doesn't feel good? How do I prevent that from affecting how I feel too much?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think that you kind of nailed it at the beginning by talking about awareness to start with. So the fact that you're even aware that that's happening is like the first thing, because if you're not aware that you're even, it's called being an empath. So some people are more inclined to be empathic energetically and emotionally. And what happens is that if you're very open and you're very empathic, you take on people's stuff. And again, we've probably all had that experience where you're talking to someone who's had a really crappy time and they pretty much dump their stuff and you're like, oh my God, that's so terrible. Yes, I totally understand. And you go away and you feel drained, completely drained, because actually empathically you've absorbed all their energy. And you feel exhausted because it's not your stuff, but because you're being empathic and you're trying to help and you're trying to be there for them, you actually, absorb that. So the fact that you even are aware is the first thing, because if you didn't understand,
is there a way to still be there for someone like that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There is. I mean,
okay.
There's two.
You don't want to shut yourself off completely, do you?
No. I think there's 2 levels to this, though. One level is being aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So as an example, some people in everyday life have this need to be needed. That's their job. They feel like, oh, I just want to help people. I just love helping people. And for some, that's an overcompensation because inside they don't have that level of self-worth. And so they're like, oh, if I can be useful, they feel loved, they feel cared for because people appreciate them. When you're doing that, you're actually giving your energy away. So there can be times where you've then collected people along the way that are not really serving your higher purpose and not allowing your energy to stay at a high vibration. So there are times in life where you move on and you go, you know what? I'm actually sick of this cycle of taking on everyone's problems, and you learn to be a little bit more selective in who you allow to come into that space with you, because doing it for everybody is not sustainable. So that's one aspect of it on a practical level, having that awareness and being able to make those decisions. The other part of it is learning to actually protect your energy space. And nearly all healing is done through visualization and setting intentions. So if you're somebody who does really struggle in situations like that, then learning to put yourself into an energy bubble, which I do this with my kids now. Like, they all know how to do this. They all know that setting this intention creates a safe space for them to go out, to play, to be somewhere they feel uncomfortable or whatever it is. And essentially, you're just imagining yourself in a bubble where positive energy can come in, but negative energy doesn't. So you can be there for your friend who's really struggling, but you are very clear with your boundary that I have my bubble, this is your stuff, and this is my stuff, and I will listen and I will be empathetic and I can hear you and support you, but I'm not taking it on. And again, it's simply awareness. Like, you're not actually doing anything, you're just creating a boundary, you're holding a boundary. So you can even just forget all the energy stuff and just go, in myself, I am going to go with my thoughts and think, I'm setting a boundary here. Yes, I will listen to you, but I'm only going to listen to you for an hour instead of 6, or setting yourself up to know in your mind that this is their stuff and I'm not going to take it on. Even that is setting an intention. So,
and even just feeling that awareness, I've taken that on, is sometimes enough to let it go.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So every time you have that thought process of, I'm really tired, I've done too much, is a really typical one, especially as mums, always running around, and we feel exhausted.
And it's not always a friend that's struggling. We can take on our kids' energy all day long as well. And
absolutely. And just the shoulds, I should let my kids do every sport under the sun because, that's being a good mom and it's giving them these opportunities. And, we get caught up in all the societal expectations of, we should do this and I need to do that because that's what a mum does, or that's what a good mum does, and all these beliefs and limiting expectations. And before you know it, you're exhausted because you're literally run into the ground. So it's really good to have that awareness when you've done too much and not beat yourself up, not go into the pain, blame, shame cycle of, which is what we do. I'm such a terrible mom. Why did I do that?
Takes you down further.
So, really, everything we're talking about comes back to vibration. That going down further, yes, it feels crap because you're getting denser. You're going into the dense energy of emotions that are like, oh, you're so bad. You're not good enough. No one loves you. Your children are like going to fail because you're not, being the best mum that you can be. All of that makes you feel depressed. And it's because the energy of it is dense. You can sit here right now and go, I feel really sad. Even your body goes, oh,
you just did it.
I know. And if you think about being happy and joyful and loving, like you feel your heart open, that's high vibration energy. That's, it's a thought.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, but the feeling creates an energy, a vibration around you. And those people who are just always so happy and you want to be in their space because you're like, oh my God, they're just
so nice.
It does. It feels great. So that's energy. That's the vibration.
When you're with your clients or preparing for a client, I just know that I've found, since I've been more aware of this, when I'm having sessions with people, it's really nice. It's why I enjoy it so much. But the way that I'm doing them now, I walk away and I know for sure that energy has gone like this. I've got as much back. It's come round. It's not like I'm sitting there giving them something, or they're sitting there, like you say, dumping stuff on me. I don't even know what the word would be. It's reciprocal.
Yeah, like an exchange of energy.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
I think
so how do you prepare for your kind of sessions when you're specifically working with energy? Because I'm not really on a direct level for that to happen for you.
So I think something really interesting about what you're saying there is that even having a conversation with someone is an energy exchange. By sharing knowledge, you are raising someone's vibration. And as a practitioner, no matter what your job is, you are always having feedback which raises your vibration as well. So that's perfect, because what you're actually saying is this is, a mutual feedback of energy, just by you teaching someone something. And this might not even be as a teacher, it might just be having a chat with your friend. That's why we feel good when we connect with people, because we're sharing knowledge and it activates things within us. It actually shifts our vibration and allows us to expand our awareness and our growth and our understanding of life. So even on a very simple level, everybody is healing. Healing is not, I'm going to give you a healing session. Healing is everywhere. Healing is the conversations. It's having a hug. It's shaking someone's hand. It's, using a crystal or an oil, or eating good food, or doing things that make you happy, like dancing or being creative. All of those things are healing because they raise your vibration. So I think having the idea that as a healer, it's the only way you can heal yourself is nonsense, because really all I do is I'm a facilitator. I facilitate your own healing process. I can't fix you. I can't heal you. I can't make you better, but I can guide you and open a space to allow you to grow. So if I'm working in a session, then I guess another important point about energy and using energy as more of a very channeled modality, I'm never giving you my energy. Like, I'm not going, I am going to heal you and make you better, because I'd be exhausted. It would be like literally emptying my tank for every client that I then couldn't serve anyone else. So having this greater knowledge and expansion of the way energy works, that it's everywhere and it's purely a channel of allowing energy to flow through you, which happens all the time. So I would always just prepare by making sure that I am very much setting that intention for my sessions, that I am here for the person's highest good, because again, it's not up to me to decide what their problem is or what their body needs on that day. And often people present with things that, it could be a sore shoulder, and they'll be like, oh yeah, my shoulder's sore. I don't really work with a lot of people doing physical stuff anymore, but that example, it could be something emotional. It could be to do with the fact that they're actually carrying a huge burden and a heavy weight, and the area of the body it's in will unlock a lot of information for me to be able to help them to change their belief systems, which then allows them to have a healing occur.
But you haven't actually fixed the muscle in the shoulder.
And that realization, like if I had set my intention at that healing session, right, you're going to come and I'm going to heal your shoulder, and that's it. How limiting is that? Yeah. That's not actually going to help them. It's not going to, it's not going to allow their body and their body's intelligence to communicate to me what exactly is going on in this huge web of all these things going on in their life.
That's my next question, Emily. We'll go into that in a sec. We can't actually see the name of the people commenting, but someone's commented symbiotic, and I think that's probably exactly the word I was looking for. We're each bringing something to that space of healing, and that's where the magic happens, I guess. So collective energy. I feel like I've been hearing that term a lot more recently. Yeah. And my understanding of it is growing and changing. Can you talk a little bit to that at the moment, and what's happening in the world for us all at the moment in terms of energy?
So if we come back to this concept that, yes, we are all vibrating, yes, we all have a frequency, and everything around us has a frequency. We know that even the earth itself has a frequency, and we call it the Schumann Resonance. It's, again, this is all scientific, you can go look it up, but essentially everything around us is vibrating at a particular frequency. And what's been happening over the last kind of decade or so is that the energy vibration is actually speeding up, like it's becoming a higher vibration. So if you think about collective energy, like if you go to a football game and you're in a stadium and it's like a pack mentality, you know, like everyone is cheering, everybody is like, and you know the feeling at the end of the game where one side's
That
won.
atmosphere.
Yeah, it is. That's what we call it. But it's another word for collective energy. And you see one team lose and the energy is flat and dense and low. And you see the other team's won and their energy is like electric, because it's, you know, that atmosphere of joy and happiness, and everybody is collectively coming together with the same vibration. So
and it comes back to that word symbiotic, doesn't it? Because it's all bouncing off each other and affecting what's next to it, back and forth.
And we live in a world that is duality. There is, if there's up, there's down. If there's black, there's white. If there's sun or light, there's dark. Everything has a polarity to it. So that's the way the world works. That's the universal law of this planet and how we can live here with these dualities. And so what's happening at the moment, and particularly since we've had this COVID-19 outbreak, and you can see this in a lot of the posts on Facebook are becoming more positive, and even feeling the energy of the earth and the healing of the earth, even if you don't see it as an energetic thing, if you just see it as like, oh my God, this is so great.
There's dolphins in the canals in Venice.
I know. And all of those great photos of the pollution maps, like in China, where all the pollution is gone, and not having planes in the sky and cars on the roads, and looking at, even if you just read that and you're like, oh, that's so nice. That's so nice for the planet. You're feeling the energy shift. There is an energy shift collectively going on, because this is a worldwide pandemic and not just something that is affecting one small part of the world. And so the energy of the planet is changing, and it's a chicken and an egg. You know, is the energy of the planet changing because it was anyway? That's causing these natural disasters to occur, that's bringing us together as a global community, and therefore that's changing the energy as well? Or has the change, because of the global community shutting down, caused the raise in the vibration of the planet? It doesn't really matter, I don't think.
But it's bigger than us regardless, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's all just a bit too, yeah.
And I think that I really feel that it's an opportunity too, like being in these times where the collective changes its vibration, gives us these opportunities to kind of see things from a different perspective. And a lot more people are looking into things like this, or noticing things on Facebook, or starting to talk about energy more, or just dipping their toe into kind of the new earth information, or because they've been forced to, because they're at home and new things are coming into their awareness. So I always feel like there's a bit of a universal kind of guidance there of stuff being moved through and helping us to be normal people. Like, I consider myself a normal person, I hope. But knowing about energy and still being very much in the kind of academic grounded perspective, but being able to use it. It's a phenomenal tool if you can bring it into your life and into your lifestyle. There's so many benefits. It doesn't take away any of what you're doing now. It doesn't change, because suddenly you're into energy, you can't have fish and chips, or
but I think some of the things that have been happening recently have kind of made it really difficult to just do things the normal way that we always have. It's almost like it's been a bit of a kick, like it is easy to just keep going along the way you do, but then when the world changes, you have to look outside a little bit and see what else there could be and what other ways there could be to do things.
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of people are coming back to the kind of more organic way of living and self-sustainable way of living. And I mean, all of those things are.
And I think that was happening leading up to the pandemic, but then it's just like it's been bam, like it's exploded.
I think it's probably one of those, like I often watch on social media, the fads that come through and the kind of, as things start to move and track through, you see all of these different phases of things. But I think this whole experience is awakening more people. It's because they are now not busy. They're not literally in the Groundhog Day cycle of work, you know, looking after kids, going to bed, getting up, going back to work and doing it all again, because they can't. And so it's given people the space and the opportunity to just look at things slightly differently and enjoy time. That's the biggest thing, like actually enjoy the time that we have and see it as the now moment, instead of it always being for the future. Oh, I need to get to work and then I have to do this and then I have to do that and then I need to come back. And we're always not in this moment. We're always planning ahead or looking behind.
Yeah, and I think when you come into this moment and you're really here, you want to feel good in it, because there's no escape if you don't. Keeping busy and always looking ahead sort of takes your awareness of how you feel right now out of the picture.
Yeah. No, beautiful.
Yeah. So awesome. Just quickly, we are running out of time, but I just wanted to quickly touch on how intuition fits into all of this, because I sort of, not interchangeably, but they come together a lot. And where does it fit?
I guess this is another way that there's a spectrum. You know, for some people, being intuitive is being psychic and being able to see and know things that are going to happen, or, you know, looking at it as a very spiritual, airy-fairy kind of thing. For me, your intuition is what we talked about at the beginning. It's that sixth sense. It's just knowing. It just is so simple. It's something we all have. It's something we can all do. It doesn't have to be that you have spiritual guides that tell you and communicate with you. And that doesn't even happen for me. Like, I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I just listen to my gut instinct. I listen to my inner thoughts. You know, being creative is being intuitive. Trusting thoughts that do come in about something, trusting the feeling in your gut that says, oh, I just don't feel right about that. You know, don't do it. Your intuition, that's intuition for me. It's telling you that something isn't quite right. And I guess
it's the same way as touching something hot is telling you not to touch it.
Absolutely. It's a feedback system, I guess. That's the easiest way to describe it, is learning to, and we've all had that time where we go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I knew that was going to end badly, or whatever it is. I knew I should have done that. And that is where you are literally saying, my intuition told me this and I ignored it. And that, I guess, is my biggest passion, is teaching people, and children particularly, because I guess there's that feeling of, who wants to get to our age and feel like their kids are going to have to unpick all these limiting beliefs and things that we've carried? I want them to know that now. Why aren't we just teaching them this stuff right now? So as they grow up, they are intuitive, you know, and even down to silly little things like in the playground, you know, someone says to them, oh, you're rubbish at soccer. And then they go away and feel sad or bad about that. Or if they learn how to tap into their inner hub, we call it, and their inner senses of, actually, I have this confidence, I have this empowerment, I know that in my gut, I actually don't care if I'm good at soccer or not. I don't have to fit in. I don't have to tick your boxes to be a good person. And that's what we've done all our lives, is we've tried to fit in the molds, because nobody told us that there was a different strategy. No one told us there was another option. And it doesn't take away the fact that we still live in the real world. You know, we still have to do things based around the way society operates. But you can do those things without the emotion attached that drive us by fear and control. And we can make choices that are actually empowered decisions, so that, you know, we as parents and for our own children, they can grow up making those choices, but knowing that inside them, that was an informed choice based on their intuition or their gut instinct or the feeling that they had, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah. And they've learnt it through watching us do it,
Yes.
not from being told to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they really do learn by example. You can tell your kids over and over and over not to do something, but if you still do it, they'll
call you out on it.
They'll copy what
when
you
they
do.
get bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really is just about opening that space and educating yourself first and foremost, and then your children, and opening conversations. But that's the biggest one. I guess, you know, a few years ago, I had that penny drop of, oh my God, I've been working in this field for like 10 years or more, and my kids don't really know what I do, and they don't really understand, because I go and do it in my treatment room, or if I'm doing my own self-healing work, I never talked to them about it. I never did it in front of them. And then I realized, why am I not doing that? Why am I going to wait till they're 30 and like, oh, Mum, I need a treatment now because I'm all out of balance? You know, why not?
And they could be doing it for themselves.
Yeah, just open the conversation. Just talk to them about the fact energy is real. Talk to them about their sixth sense. Teach them about emotional regulation and how you can be aware of that and how it changes your energy field, and bring that awareness to their life. That's pretty much, you know, the message. Yeah, it is.
Perfect, Emily. Thank you. I know we could talk for days and days, and then it would be too long and no one would be able to watch it. So we will wrap it up now. But thank you so much. That is, that is exactly what I was hoping to sort of cover, and the message I was hoping to get across here. I hope, lots of our members find some value in that and enjoy it. And we'll both be around to answer questions if there are any. And we'll also pop the link in for the IPIK Project, because that's Emily's community, and it's changed the way it looks a little bit recently, so worth checking out. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having a chat and sharing. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Everyone have a really good day, and we'll see you soon.